Hello and welcome to How Do You Drew?
This is a Drew Barrymore podcast brought to you by thedrewsium.com.
And sponsored by our friends at Positive Medium.
I'm Anne.
And I'm Ashley.
And we have a third person that name starts with an A as well. Visiting.
I noticed that too. I'm like, another A.
So welcome, Anita, our dear friend from the Grapevine, which we've mentioned many times, the Drew Barrymore message board from back in the day. Hello.
Hi. This is so exciting.
Yay. Thank you for joining us. I mean, we go way back, probably 98, 99, I'm sure is when we first started connecting with each other, which is just crazy to think about.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's wild to think it's been that long.
Yep. And Anita and I, which we'll get into in a minute, got to spend some time together recently. And during that, we were kind of like, it's a trip how, even if some of us aren't necessarily actively collecting on Drew Barrymore anymore, we still have this connection that's kept us connected. And that's quite a nice size community. I mean, even if it is only like nice size to us,
I think it's still incredible that this many years have gone by and there's still like you said, this little community that we formed so long ago.
Yes.
And it lives on. It's just awesome.
The first tribe we found.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let's start a little bit with introduction to Anita, how you became a fan. What do you remember about the early days and what kind of attracted you to Miss Drew Barrymore?
So, I mean, I guess I've been a fan since the ET days.
That's crazy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I knew you were like further back than us, but I didn't realize it was that much further back.
Yeah. I think I was around 3 years old when the movie was released. And I went to the theater in my small town and saw the movie with my mom. I think I sat on her lap and when Drew first came on screen, she had her blonde pigtails tied with the like string or the yarn.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was very blonde. And I would also wear my hair in pigtails, or I guess I should say my mom would put my hair in pigtails. And I just thought that she like looked like me. And I instantly like fell in love with her and thought of her as like a sister or a friend. And that's how it all started.
I love that.
I love it so much. Do you remember like at what point it became like an active fandom? Like, do you remember like maybe what first cherished maybe thing that you collected or like thing that you might have seen that sticks out in your mind?
So for a long period, I wasn't very like invested in Drew's career or keeping up on things. And there was also a lull, obviously, where she wasn't working as much or like the things were more independent movies.
Totally.
And I think it was around the time of Poison Ivy that I started to become like interested in her career again.
Wow.
But the first thing that I remember kind of collecting and really being invested in her and wanting to actively collect and pay attention to her career was around the time of Boys on the Side and Mad Love.
Okay.
The best time.
Yeah, right? Like the best time. I still have my Mad Love ticket stub from the movie theater. And I have every stub from every Drew movie I've gone to see since then.
Yay, me too.
And that's kind of what started the collecting.
I love it. And I love that kind of like sentimental, ephemeral, like the movie tickets. Like now I feel like I haven't had a physical movie ticket in a while.
I miss it so much.
And when you get them, they're like that paper that like you let it sit for a while and it starts to turn gray. Yes, it either turns gray like receipt paper or it fades away. I'm like, no, let's just use that same old stuff with the tearaway. Like, what's wrong with you? Anyway, I love that so much. Of course, we've talked about this before, and I think you said it, Ashley, like we've met you in like late 90s, early 2000s on this message board, and we've been in touch since. You are no longer actively collecting, but you're still part of this community and you support our podcast, which we're so grateful for.
You're so supportive. Also, I just want to say like how many times Anne and I have been like, oh, imagine if to have been there in the 95 era, like you were there. Like, so we kind of bow down that you're even more old school than we are. It's awesome.
I think though is that like it doesn't really matter what time period you enter into your Drew fandom.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was definitely like a heyday, but the cool thing about Drew is that who she is at her core has remained the same.
Yes.
Oh.
I think that's kind of why you have such like you have so many fans that are new who maybe we don't know as well. Is because like Drew kind of transcends all of her, like even though she had periods where she was maybe releasing more movies or a lot of us were kind of into maybe like the more like hippie, like grunge side of Drew.
Yeah.
She's kept a little bit of that throughout her life and her career.
Yep. And she just has this outward appearance that's a little more professional, but I feel like deep down, she's the same gal.
I love that. So well said.
That's lovely. Okay, so we're just going to like jump into the pod now. We'll be talking a lot more with Anita, and feel free to chime in whenever you'd like.
Okay, I will.
Okay, so the first segment that we're going to hop into this week is I want to know, what did Drew declare her love for last week?
I love love.
All right, we got some good ones.
Okay.
All right, Drew loves layering of rugs.
Okay. Yeah.
I love that.
Salmon skin.
You know what? I think I was on the show and I was like, I think I need to try to eat my salmon skin next time. I always throw it away.
Ew. I'm like, can't relate. Okay.
Okay, what else?
She also loves poetry. We know this.
Okay.
And USA Today, which I thought was fun because I feel like some of our coolest newspaper items in our collection are from USA Today.
That is funny though.
Yeah. Urban Outfitters. Feel like we knew that one.
Okay.
This one's a little cheaty because we've sort of had segments of this before, but I'm going to put the full sentence in here. The funk of a man's t-shirt.
I agree.
She's loved that since the Eric Erlandson days. I know she declared that back then.
And yeah, if it's the funk of the man that you love, or like are crushing on, absolutely. But
yeah, I don't want some random man's.
Yeah, I think it's like the funk of your man's t-shirt is sort of what I would say.
Yeah, not rando funk.
No random funk, please. All right, and finally, Drew loves a cheesecloth and a designer hook.
Just
Separate
one of
thing.
each.
Yeah, one of each, singular.
Also, like designer hook, like something you like put on the wall to hang things.
Correct.
It's made by a designer. Okay.
And it looks good. Like it's not just a random piece of hardware. Yeah.
Oh, I do have kind of a cute one on my wall.
I believe it. I bet Anita does too. Anita has amazing interior design style and aesthetic eye. Always have been. I've always admired your eye for aesthetics.
Thank you. It's all thrifted. Every last thing I own, basically.
That's amazing. Well, you do it right.
You still have to kind of like have the taste,
you
know, and you do.
I guess so. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So now for our Drewism of the week, what did you pull for us, Ashley?
Oh, someone's picking up, those cool little isms that we do.
Okay, we haven't had one of these in a while, so I liked this one. So she was talking to People magazine about how she has not gotten plastic surgery. And she said, I look forward to seeing what I look like as a leather bag in the future.
I'm sure she'll be just a gorgeous leathered leather bag.
Like a thrifted bag that Anita would find and make look good.
An old leather tote.
Yes. Just, a really functional, beautiful one that just makes you so happy when you look at it.
Perfectly patinaed.
Yes. Okay, so now for this week in Drew history, what did you pull?
Oh, this is a good one. Okay. November 21st, 1982. Let's go back to the 4th annual Youth in Film Awards.
Woo.
These were held at the Sheraton Universal Hotel, and Drew won Best Young Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture for E.T., of course. She was up against the other nominations were Toni Ann Gosondi from Annie. And I think that's the part that Drew auditioned for, the part of Molly and Annie. That's my guess.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that for sure, but that's my instinct. Okay. And then also nominated were Molly Ringwald in Tempest. And then, of course, Heather O'Rourke in Poltergeist, another part Drew almost got or went up for. So, and there's some really cute pictures of the two of them together at this award show.
And we want to play a little clip of when she won it because it's so cute.
It's so famous and like perfect.
Drew Barrymore Show.
Thank you for this award. I appreciate it very much. This is my first award.
Oh, I love it so much.
This is so cute.
The cutest.
Isn't it a young Joey Lawrence who introduces her to the award? Is that right?
It sure looks like it.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I can't remember, but that seems very familiar.
So cute. And I have a program from this. I totally had forgotten until I started like getting into it. I was like, oh yeah, that's like a cool thing to have.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And there's
really
great
cool.
photos of her again, like we said, with Heather O'Rourke, and then also with Robert McNaughton from E.T. E.T. won like everything that year, I guess, and it was kind of unusual. And then she was nominated and attended several other years, and supposedly she hosted them in 1985, which is so cool.
We got to find footage of that.
I knew she attended, but I know we just have photos. But every year it's like hosted by a child actor, so it makes sense.
Oh, that's so cute.
I don't know if they still go on or not. Probably not.
I don't feel like I've been in tune with the Youth in Film Awards for sure.
It's not on your radar, huh?
No, it's not. It's not. Although, if I had been a fan in the 80s, it might be.
Yeah.
It's like everything that I know about in the industry is basically because of Drew. All right, so let's get into what's new with Drew. It looks like you've pulled quite a few little tidbits, Ash. So let's talk about it.
You know what's funny is that 2 episodes ago, we were like, oh, the new Drew magazine, it's coming. We'll talk about it when we get it. And then we forgot to talk about it last week.
Oops.
But we did a live on Instagram. So if you do want to see, what's in the magazine and what our opinions are on it, you can go watch that either. It's on the Drewseum Instagram and you can see us chatting about it live.
Yes, just a couple little tidbits that are fun about it for those of you who don't check out the live and don't have the magazine in your hands for some reason. A couple of things that are cool. It's the first time she's had anyone other than just herself. Well, she's on the magazine as well, on the cover.
That's not a dog.
Yes. Other humans.
Yeah.
And also her handwriting is featured on the cover as the little names for each of the individuals on the cover, which was really cool. So we talked about that in the Instagram live, but just thought I would bring that up.
Speaking of humans, that's a great segue. Drew got a new tattoo. Yeah, so exciting. So I did a little research, a little sleuthing, and I found out that she got it on your birthday, Anne, November 7th.
Happy birthday to me.
It's so cool. I don't know. It just seems special because we are talking about getting some tattoos right now. We are, Anne and I, and also our friend Jolena. So for her to get a new one on your birthday just felt like a good sign. I like it.
Yeah. Like we needed more encouragement to do this. We've been talking about it for years.
Truly.
Like literally years, and always trying to figure out like what's the thing that we can do to like honor how we met, our connection. So that's coming up. So anyway,
awesome.
Let's talk about what the tattoo is. So she just got the words simply "I am human" under her existing tattoo that says "Home is where we are," and it's on her right arm. It's tattoo number 12. And I like this, that she said she likes all but 2 of them. One of which we know is the flowers on her hip. And what else do we think?
I think the other one is the bird. And the only reason I say that is because it's the most random and it's the one we don't know anything about. Like, why does she have that bird? That's my guess.
I feel like at some point she talked about how the moon doesn't really look like a moon anymore, but I think she also really loves it. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be the moon. What do you think, Anita?
I mean, so isn't there one that says jade?
True.
Yeah. So I mean that might be, and not necessarily. Yeah, I don't know. Possibly the moon would be my guess as well, because I think she basically said that it's just blurry and you can't tell that it's a moon anymore. But that's something that I don't know if there'd necessarily be regret there. You might be right about the bird. I would be very curious to know the meaning behind that one.
Me too.
Dying to know.
Except for every time I see it, I'm like, I love perching birdies.
Of course.
And I said that when we were in New York, which I'll talk about more in a minute
too.
too.
Okay.
Another tease, guys.
She did say that she thinks she'll be getting tattoos for the rest of her life, which is fun to imagine. They'll still be coming.
They're going to end up on her face if she keeps going.
Oh, no. This one was done by artist John Mesa live on the show. Sort of like when they actually started the show, it looked like it was already over. So I don't totally know how that went.
They're like, it was too fast.
Yeah.
We weren't filming yet, John.
But she did say it was the least painful one she'd ever gotten. So he has like a really light touch, apparently.
Nice. The text is very thin also.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's something about that.
I was thinking that too. Joel Madden was the guest on the show and he approved of what she wrote and he had like a really nice thing to say about it. And she said it sent her on her way with little clouds and wings.
Aw. And Joel Madden is the one that's married to Cameron Diaz?
Nope. It's the one that's married to Nicole Richie.
Okay.
So, but she's like, we're not family, but we kind of are. Like my best friend is married to your twin brother. Like, you know.
What's the other brother's name? I'm blinking.
Benji. Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
Thank you for pulling that out.
Feels so random to me, like him and Cameron. Like I never would have.
Yeah. But also it's like she did date like Jared Leto, who was like in a band, you know, like maybe
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, that's true.
Related, I guess.
Yeah.
So maybe she's just really attracted to people who she's seen on stage.
I mean, we all get that.
Yeah, she likes the musician. Who doesn't?
Exactly.
Exactly. Funnily enough, so I was watching the Megan Fox interview, which was really good. And I totally had this like very subconscious thought of like, wow, Drew's arm is really getting full, like with all those tattoos. And then I realized it was actually already there. It was like before we knew she got the tattoo, but filming schedule wise, they had already filmed it. And I was like, oh, part of me subconsciously knew there was something new there, but
you're
I didn't.
So familiar with like how full her arm is that like, you're like, that's weird. Why is that weird?
And then this is just on the same sort of tattoo train. So she had an interview with the F1 driver, Daniel Ricciardo. And she showed him a picture of her James Cherub tattoo because he has a similar angel. Mm-hmm. And either the way they showed it and they edited it or it's real, his name is totally blacked out now. So I'm so curious, like, did they just like Photoshop it or has she gotten it covered? Like it was more than I think it could have naturally bled to.
Yep.
Maybe. We'll have to share a screenshot of it.
Maybe that's one of the regret tattoos.
Maybe.
But then I was like, is she showing it to him? So could she say she doesn't? I don't know. But I thought it was pretty funny that his name is totally gone. And then, of course, I have, you know, me, I'm such a little bitch. I got to call out anytime that Drew gets her dates wrong. She's like, I got this one when I was 13. I'm like, Drew, you did not know Jamie Walters. You dated him 4 years later. That's when you got this tattoo.
I think that's what she needs to hire us to do. I think we've said
exactly.
It's just to be like, I'm going to talk about this on the show. Can you tell me the timeline? Thanks.
Fact checkers. We're here for it.
Okay, so what else you got for this week?
Drew also was part of the Domino Magazine Good Design Awards. They're for home products. And she was one of 6 guest editors who helped choose a bunch of products that were especially cool this year, I guess.
That's neat.
Okay. She helped choose some for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, the beautiful Drew chair was on the list, which conveniently enough, I don't know if that's a little coincidence or what.
I wonder if it's sort of like if you are a designer that has something that's been highly like rated, you get to be on the like judging side as well. Maybe it's like, maybe it works like that. I don't know.
Maybe.
I would like to think they wouldn't just like, people wouldn't just be nominating their own products. Who knows?
I see so many versions of that chair as well, like everywhere now.
Yeah.
But there are multiple colorways now. It used to be white and now there's like a sage green.
Yes. I want the sage.
Pretty.
Yes, I love the green.
It's so cool.
And then the final thing I want to mention, and then I'm going to take like a little back seat and just listen to you guys. The Drew Barrymore Show hit a ratings high. This is via The Wrap. And I guess it was a 22-week ratings high, averaging 1.1 million viewers in the last week of October. And it is currently the number 3 most watched syndicated talk show. So
wow.
Nice.
yeah, I guess the whole scandal of the writer's strike didn't hurt them too badly.
Well, unless that's why people are tuning in, because they're like, can we really hate Miss Drew Barrymore? And then they're like,
Right.
no.
It's impossible.
Yeah, no. But that's
Gosh,
so
darn
cool.
it.
Congrats to Drew and the show. That's so cool.
Yeah, great news.
Howdy,
Drewbies.
Drewbies.
We want to tell you about our sponsor, Positive Medium. We've actually been clients of theirs for at least 10 years, and they take care of all of our website needs for thedrewsam.com.
They offer custom web design and professional coding, search engine optimization, marketing, and hosting. So we've been hosted by them, but we've also been able to take advantage of a lot of their expertise in these other areas as well.
Absolutely. So customer service is the biggest draw for us with this company. They have saved our site literally from obliteration quite a few times. But then they also help us with minor issues in just like literally a matter of minutes. So if we have like a coding question or just like something on the back end we can't figure out, we reach out to them and we get an answer back and the issue is solved within moments.
We're so excited that Positive Medium is allowing us to offer our listeners 25% off managed WordPress hosting plans using our promo code DREW, D-R-E-W, of course. And if you want to take advantage of this, visit positivemedium.com. We really, really vouch for these people. They've been so great to us and will continue to be great to us. I can only imagine.
I mean, they're great by offering this to our listeners. So take advantage. Again, it's promo code DREW, of course.
Okay, I know you said you wanted to take a back seat, and now I got to just jump in the driver's seat right now.
Well, I'm just like, I feel like I'm going to be one of our listeners right now. I'm like on the edge of my seat because I have heard parts of the story, but you were standing on a busy New York street while you were telling me. So
Sure was.
let's hear what you guys did this week.
Okay, so our weekly topic is just talking about, you know, a little old visit to New York City that Anita and I took this past week.
Yay!
Yes, so our visit included the Drew Barrymore Show on November 16th. We attended the first taping of the day, and it's going to air on the 22nd. And now we're going to get into our story a little bit. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about with this taping is that we are lucky enough to be in contact with Drew's current personal assistant, who has been really lovely, but we haven't really been able to do any events to like really utilize that contact. So this was one of the first things that we were able to do is reach out and say, hey, Anne will be there. What can you do? So we didn't really know what that would mean.
I do want to interject and just say a big thank you to Tony Crago. Tony was Drew's assistant at one point, and he kind of helped introduce us to her current one. So thank you to Tony. And if you guys want to know more from Tony, we're going to be doing a Q&A episode with him real soon. So be on the lookout for the call for questions.
Yes. And also check out the previous episode we did with Tony, which was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Okay. So we got that affirmative, we're in sort of thing. And then Anita and I quickly planned the trip. So literally like a little over a week before we planned this trip.
Okay, since I'm riding shotgun.
Yes.
Can I just say?
Yes.
It was on your birthday that you were basically like, should we do this?
Yes.
Can this be a thing?
I think you're right.
Can we go to New York City? And it just kind of all came together so quickly and so easily that it felt 100% like meant to happen.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah. And I don't really believe necessarily that the universe cares about us little humans, but sometimes it feels like you're getting a little push, you know, it's like you just feel something happening and it's like, I just have to do this. And I'm very fortunate that I am able to just pick up and do that. I mean, obviously, let's go ahead and just jump to New York City. So we made our way there. We were there by Wednesday, the 15th in the evening, and just so excited. We're like, can't wait until the morning, just kind of buzzing all night. And then we're making our way that morning to the studio. And right when we get to the block of the studio, Ross is on the corner. And so,
believe it.
And I kind of nudged Anita and she's like, what? And then I was like, I'm just going to go for it. Cause we're about to cross and everyone in New York jaywalks. So like it was just us and Ross, and maybe there was someone behind us, but there really weren't that many people like on the corner. And so I just like kind of looked over and was like, "Hi, Ross."
Oh my God.
And then and he's like, "Oh, hi." He was like really sweet. And I said, "We're coming to the show and I just wanted to say hi. And we're really big fans of Drew and we're so excited." And he was like, "Great, I'll see you in there. I'll look a lot better than this." And he looked great, of course. He always looks put together.
I know, right?
So I was like, "You look amazing." What are you talking about? And then we're like, "Okay, see you in there."
Oh,
yeah.
Can I ask real quick? Did he seem to realize that you guys were there?
Yes, he did.
Did he say something like, "Oh, you guys got great seats"?
Yes, he did. He came up to where we were sitting and he made a comment like that. So he 100% like realized where we were and that he had seen us on the street.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, it was very cute.
And I wish I would have like thought to take a picture, but I was just like, he's on his way to work, literally.
Yeah, and you're like crossing a street. It's okay.
But I'm glad I just acknowledged because of course he was so sweet. I wanted to say also that we got permission ahead of time from her staff to bring Drew a gift. You're not supposed to do that. It says it explicitly on the ticket.
Breaking the law.
Yeah. We were instructed by her assistant to hand it to this really sweet guard. I think I said something about like really appreciating his role in protecting Drew or something. And he's like, yeah, he said something about how Drew like hugs everyone and is very like, you know, welcoming. And sometimes that makes them feel a little bit like, come on, Drew, like don't be so like opening yourself up to everybody. So it's kind of interesting.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah. I sort of explained to him because he's like, who are you? That we've been in touch with her staff for many years and deeply respect that chain of command. At which point he brought up Chris Miller and like, do you know Chris Miller? And I was like, oh yeah, I actually met him in 2001. And that was my initial connection. And then we kind of both gushed about him a little bit.
How cute. Can I say when you texted me and you're like, oh, I had to give the gift to a security guard. I was like, damn it. Like, it's just going to go in some random like pile of gifts. But no, then when you explained, I was like, oh, okay, that's better.
The little gift that we wanted to get Drew, actually, it's kind of funny how it came up.
It is.
So last week in our episode, we used a little clip about Drew saying she calls her house Chez Sardine. And when we did that, I was like, okay, I got to make sure I can find this clip later. So then I like just typed the word Chez Sardine into our text. And I think you did a test search to see if it would work. It was just sort of a silly thing. And you saw that you'd had a screenshot of a really cute tea towel.
So yeah, I mean, I can tell this part because I actually am involved with this part. Yeah. So I just did like a random search sardine in my text. And because the technology is insane now, it pulled up this tea towel that I had sent you a picture of a while back. Like, oh, we should get this for Drew because it has a really cute illustration of 3 little sardines in their little tin can, just like Drew and her daughter's in bed. And I was like, wait a minute, we should actually get this for her now that you're going. So there was this whole thing. I won't like go too far into it, but we ended up having to get it overnighted. And luckily, like the both the maker of the towel and the shop where we bought it were super awesome and worked with us to make sure it got there in time. So it was just kind of, again, it all worked out. It was like one of those signs as well.
Yep. And then we had it delivered to my hotel and I was so excited when I got there and it was there. It was like, yes, success.
Yes, I know. And we'll share a picture of it in the episode page, of course.
Yes. And I'll mention that a little bit more later because we were able to give it to Drew and we got a little bit of a response. So we'll talk about that in a minute. When we got there, we were ushered past like the lines of regular ticket holders, which always feels a little bit weird.
Yeah.
When we got in, we were greeted by name. I think they like talk to each other. Everyone has like a radio. So when we walked in, they're like, oh, and we're like, oh, yes. And we were handed tickets with a little blue highlight across the front, which when I saw it, I was like, what do other people's tickets have? Like, what does that mean? Because we still didn't know where we would be sitting in the studio. We were just like thrilled, like we're here. And I also, before I really like move forward too much, Anita has never been able to meet Drew. So this was this opportunity for us to meet in New York and for that to happen. Like there was a certain buzzingness. Like I was so excited for that.
Same.
While we were sitting in the waiting room, this was one of the coolest like things.
Yeah.
Drew's assistant was walking by and she was with the dogs, Douglas and Lucy. And we got to have a little moment with them. So I think I just like, hey, and she came over and the dogs were right at her tail. I started petting Lucy immediately. It was like such a fluffy, sweet cloud.
My gosh. Amazing.
And Lucy almost started to like lay down at my feet.
Oh.
Douglas was also there. And I sort of like The word that kept coming to my mind when I was thinking back on it is like Douglas is so like regal and attentive.
That's sweet.
Like it's very cute. And Lucy just seems like is like, all right, I'm just gonna lay down here and chill. It was so cute.
Question. Did you tell Douglas and Lucy to listen to our pets episode?
I didn't want to make a spectacle. I already felt like I was making a spectacle. But yes, it was my chance to say thank you to her assistant for, getting us in there and give her a big hug. And yeah, it was cool seeing the dogs. I mean,
amazing.
If you watch the show, you know that the dogs are around, but I didn't know that I would get to see them first. So
no kidding. Did anyone else in the waiting room seem to recognize the dogs?
Don't know.
Yes. I felt like there were a couple of people who definitely kind of knew and recognized the dogs and tried to call them over. But the dogs did kind of immediately come to us and stick near us and lay down near us. It was one of my favorite moments of the entire experience.
That is so cool.
And we were joking after, I'm like, well, we just have the aura, Drew. We've been modeling our aura after this lovely person that happens to be their mom. So
like Drewbies.
Yes, they could sense it. It was very nice of her to come in and give us hugs.
Yes.
And speak with us. And yeah, I think she even thanked you for the gift, perhaps.
Maybe. I think she might have said Drew loved it at that point.
Yeah, that's right. She did.
Oh, wow. That's crazy to imagine this was being delivered to her and you were on the other side of the wall. And she was looking at it.
It was a trip. I saw the security guard who I handed it to earlier, walk by, go 20 seconds and then come back empty handed. I'm like, that means she's in an office, right there.
True. But you were also I hope that didn't end up in a garbage can.
Yeah, totally.
So we entered the studio and we were kind of standing in line, slowly waiting. They were seating some people in the kind of bleacher area and some people were sitting in the front, leather chairs. So we still didn't know.
Right.
And then right when we walked up, they said, Ann and Anita.
Wow. That's so cool, you guys.
I know. And then we're like, yes. And then they ushered us to 2 of the 4 very front seats.
Yes.
And we're immediately like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. It was surreal.
It was.
Was the set just as beautiful as it looks on screen?
It was really beautiful. But as usual, of course, you can, when you walk into one of those studios, you see behind the facade, which is such a funny thing. And when you're actually there, there are camera cables everywhere, but it was really a beautifully designed studio. We were admiring some of the books that were in the side.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Seats we were in were leather swivel chairs.
I know, they're so pretty. I've totally noticed those.
So comfy. The interview area was about 10 feet to our right, and the kitchen area was about 15 feet to our left, just to kind of give you gauging where stuff was happening.
And then the Drew's news desk. Yeah.
I feel once we got in there and we're seated, I was like, wow, it feels a lot smaller than it appears on TV.
And also the audience is not a super large audience.
No, not at all.
Okay, so now we get into Drew actually arriving on set.
Yeah, where'd she enter from?
I think she entered from the side door on the left. Do you remember, Anita?
I think she entered from no, did she come down from the back?
Behind us?
I think she came from behind us.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering.
But we were just our head was swiveling everywhere. Where's she gonna come from? So she first was kind of ushered over to the area where she would be interviewing Lisa Ling. And I thought it was after the interview that she actually locked eyes with us, but Anita reminded me that it was actually before. So she walked over there and then looked right at us and smiled and waved and then just kind of started to shuffle over.
Oh my God.
And came over and immediately hugged us. And I think the first thing she said to me was, I love the gift, or something to that effect.
Oh.
She said she wanted to come back and try to talk more, but of course she's running her show. We had the quickest little introduction to Anita.
Yeah.
Can you give me your perspective on that moment, Anita? Because I feel I was so what is happening?
It's so funny because that's the moment I remember the best.
Okay.
Oh.
So she came out and she kind of turned around and said, I think, a couple of things to the rest of the audience, to all of us, I guess. And then she walked over to do the Lisa Ling interview, and she sat down in the chair. And then she kind of was like surveying the audience and looked over at us. And then she made eye contact with both of us, but then she looked specifically at Anne. And I think she like started to talk, but then she realized she was quite far to make it like personal.
Yeah.
So then she got up and came over and was like hugging both of us and like speaking with us for an extended period when they should be filming. And then she like started to walk back over afterwards and like said something to the effect of like, oh, like, I'm so sorry. Like that, you know, I took the time to do that, or like I'm making us behind or something like that. I can't really remember what the wording was, but she like actually
classic Drew.
Yeah. She like took that moment when she like kind of put off the interview with Lisa to come and speak with us, which I thought was very, very
Lisa Lang's
respectful.
like, hello.
Yeah.
The other thing I wasn't aware of, but obviously if I was in the bleachers and I saw Drew go up to somebody, I'd be like, who the hell's that?
Totally.
Also, I have to like step back a second and say that the warm-up person, which if you've ever been to a talk show, which Anita, you had before, Ashley, of course,
Yes.
when I've been to some, they do the, you know, the warm-up person comes out and they were like, Drew loves talking to the audience. She'll probably try to talk to all of you. Oops.
Or just the two of you right there.
Yes.
But so I do feel like we got like that attention. There was some other talking to the audience moments for sure. One other cute thing that I do remember from that moment is that she was kind of starting to walk back away from us towards the interview spot, and she was like wanting to show her sardine tat to us.
Yes.
Because she started to kind of try to
God.
unbutton her sleeve, and I was like, I know, that's why we got it for you.
Yeah, but she
Like,
couldn't do it.
She's like, you won't believe this, but I have a sardine tattoo.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm just gonna like say what the segments of the show were, just because it's kind of cool to talk about what we saw. So she did an interview with Lisa Ling, as we mentioned, and it was an investigative report she did about psychedelic mushrooms being used for trauma and mental illness and all kinds of stuff. Really fascinating.
Wow.
And one of the things Drew said was that, yeah, she's done mushrooms, but when she's done mushrooms, she's running in a field and listening to Rage Against the Machine.
That tracks.
Yes. And then even though our view was kind of obstructed by these like massive TV cameras, we were able to see Drew kind of in like 3/4 profile sometimes, depending on how she was looking.
Okay.
I don't know what your view was, Anita, at that point.
Yeah, same.
Okay. But what we loved and we kind of cracked up about after is that we could see Douglas on like the fluffy rug at their feet, like cleaning himself almost the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
So cute.
Yes.
Yeah. So another thing I'll say about the dogs is I didn't see Lucy for like almost the entire show until there's a cooking segment towards the end. And I saw Lucy kind of roaming around. I think you pointed out Lucy to me.
Yeah.
It's like food time.
Douglas was like following Drew everywhere. It was very cute.
Sweet. Anita,
Yeah.
can I ask you, did you feel like Drew's so tiny in person when you saw her? Were you like, oh my God, she's so tiny? Like that I always feel that way.
Yes and no. No, I don't know. I think maybe because this sounds strange, but I used to be much larger. Like I've lost a lot of weight.
Mhm.
And so I feel like my perspective then is maybe a little bit different than it might be now. But
Interesting.
I feel like she wasn't as like tiny as I think I pictured in my mind.
Mhm.
She's
Oh.
definitely like a petite person,
Mhm.
but I don't know. She just wasn't as like petite and little as I think I expected her to be.
Mhm.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just curious.
Ashley and I have always said every time we see her, I'm like struck by how small she is. But
Right.
it's not like, it's not even one thing. It's not like she's so skinny or she's so short. It's like,
Just all around.
Right.
so now Drew's news, which was so cute and fun as it always is. Drew and Ross, they had a story about texting and about like in relationships, especially early in the relationship, like if texting is a good idea.
Oh.
And
Mm.
Drew was like so firm in the I hate texting side. And Ross talked about how much he loved it. And it was just kind of funny when you guys see the show, if you'll see her just kind of like, I hate it. I hate it.
I can totally visualize that. I don't even need to see you right now. I know the face.
Yes.
I'm with her, by the way.
You're with her?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm such a texter. I do remember she said something like, I love it for logistics, but other than that, let's just enjoy our time in person. Let's not try to like communicate stuff through
exactly.
this.
I agree.
Yeah. I understand the idea, but I'm just I'm like such a like into all the technology. Let's use the things that make efficient.
Right.
I don't know.
I think I'm very easily like misunderstood through text.
Okay.
And just in general, honestly, as a human. But I feel like through text, especially, I always feel like there's like, wait, did you mean this? Or did you mean that? That happens a lot. So I think it's way easier in person.
It lacks tone.
Yeah.
Totally.
True. So I get it. It was just really cute hearing her like, yeah. There was a segment where they talked about like this tip that they like read about cutting a piece of cake using tongs, like kitchen tongs. And they attempted to cut a piece of cake with the beautiful tongs, which I feel like that type, they're like a bulkier handle. So I think that's why it didn't work. But anyway, it kind of failed. It kind of like smashed the cake. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, they're like rubber handles, and I feel like you need like the fully
the metal
tong.
Like the flat handle ones. Yep. But Drew like tasted the cake, I guess not realizing that it was pumpkin spice, and she apparently hates pumpkin spice.
Yeah, I think she said that recently on the show.
And then Ross offered like a piece to the audience, and I was very tempted to get it, but I felt like it was one of those weird moments where I couldn't tell if it was just for like
to be
show offering it, you know what I mean? Or if he really did want someone to come up and take the piece of cake and try it.
Well, after the fact, when I had that massive headache, I really was wishing we had that piece of cake.
Absolutely.
So one other thing that I thought was really cute when we were watching the Drew's News segment, at one point, I don't remember what they were talking about, but Drew looked over and we were petting Douglas because Douglas had come down, and she and she gave us like a really scrunchy face smile, and it was so cute because it looked like she was like proud mama.
Oh, that's so special.
Absolutely.
Isn't that cute?
Love that. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Whenever Douglas was wandering, I'd be like, come here. And because we were right up front. That was one of the
3 like very personal moments.
Yes.
Aww.
Like that's how I looked at it. Was like the first was when she came over before interviewing Lisa, and then that was the second.
Yes. It was so sweet. It was just like a little, I don't know how to describe it, but I loved that. Like it was like her baby.
It was a very intimate moment that you would like almost do to like a friend.
Exactly.
Or like someone who's come to your home and meeting your pets for the first time.
Yes. Like you look across the room at a party and you see them petting your loved one.
I love that.
It was so cute. So one other segment they did was a side dish competition because Thanksgiving is like a couple days after it airs. The judges were Eric Andre and his writing partner, Dan Curry. So that was really fun. That Drew did like a celery and leek soup with Pilar.
Yeah.
And I forget what the other thing was Ross was doing with someone else. And I'm sorry, I don't know who.
With some sort of stuffing, right?
It was like a stuffing thing, but then it had like falafel in it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was so fun to see Pilar.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
I looked over at Anita and I was like, isn't she so cute? And we were just admiring like her super cute blonde pixie cut and her.
She just has like a personal style that I'm like, no one could pull this off, but you always look cute.
Yeah, she knows what works for her, I think.
Yeah.
So that was fun, even though once again, because it was like over to the side, TV cameras were basically obstructing our view, but it was still super cool to get like, you know, peeks here and there. A lot of stuff was going on because there were like 5 people behind the like kitchen area, and then Eric Andre and Dan Curry were off to the side. So there were like 7 people kind of clustered in one corner.
Wow, that's unusual.
It was kind of crazy. And then Drew and Pilar won for their side dish, and they got an award that was like had a big turkey on the top. And you remember how a couple weeks ago you said that Drew said she loves the Drew Barrymore Show trophies.
Trophies, yeah. That's awesome.
So this was one of them. I think the very end of the show was this like turkey dance where they pulled a mother and daughter from the audience and had them wear these turkey hats, and they put boxes of feathers strapped to their back, and they had to like kind of like twerk to get the feathers to come out. It was
amazing.
It was so funny, but the audience members were so cute. And the daughter started to tear up when she was talking to Drew. She's like, I'm such a big fan of you. And then Drew gave her a big hug, of course, and just made her feel lovely. You could tell it was like a really cool encounter. Anyway, that was super cute. And then after they were like kind of wrapping up the show, they filmed
Drew and Eric Andre
dance to Islands in the Stream. And it's already been posted on social media. So that's something that they recorded right in front of us. Like it was immediately in front of us.
I know. I was like, were you guys right here for this? Yep,
yeah.
you were.
Yeah.
And I like how they cut it together. It's really cute. The one thing they didn't show is that they attempted to do the worm. And Drew, when she stood up, had like fuzz all over the front of her clothing. And she was wearing like this dark blue suit. And immediately like all her people came out and were like, rolling her, fixing her hair.
Rollers, yeah.
So after the show finished filming, Drew was standing on stage talking to the audience, and she was talking about the holidays. And maybe you'll have a little bit more of a recollection of exactly what she said, Anita. But what I remember is that she talked about like whatever form of family you have. She like said that she didn't have a traditional family growing up. And even with this blended family now, she feels like she finally has that feeling surrounding the holidays of like belonging and all this stuff. And when they were talking, Ross and Drew's hands were like held tight together. It was really sweet.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a very like sweet moment.
Yeah. Do you remember anything else about what she said in that moment?
I mean, that was the gist of it. And just a lot of talking about how you can, you know, create a family. And that's what she's always sought to do, is create her own type of family with friends. And then that's when she mentioned like kind of like the blended family with Allie and Will and the girls. And it was just a very like vulnerable, intimate moment with her sharing like details like that about her life, which I thought was really sweet.
Yeah. Aww. And it was just to the audience. It wasn't filmed. It was like her really kind of like talking to us. Yeah. It was very sweet. And we see lots of clips of stuff like this on social media. So we saw that like,
I mean, maybe it will be posted. That'd be pretty cool.
Maybe, could be. So then after that happened, Drew approached us again just as the studio was about to start emptying out. So they were about to like kind of start ushering all of the audience members out. I don't know if I'm remembering it exactly right, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But she was basically like almost right away, like, do you know our social media coordinator? Do you remember, Anita? Like,
so I kind of feel like when she approached us after filming, I think initially it was to thank you once again for the gift. And to just kind of like just speak with us. But then she said something like, have you connected with my social media manager?
Yeah.
And then you were like, no. And then we've tried, and there was a little bit of that discussion. And then she was like, here, come with me, follow me.
Oh my God, you guys.
She motioned us with her arm, like with her hand. And then we just started following her backstage. And of course, there was this huge part of me that was like, we're going to see her office.
Yeah.
We're going to see like, right. Obviously we didn't. It would have been amazing.
But are you just like, what is happening? What is happening? Oh
Absolutely.
my gosh.
Yes. I feel like she just kind of said like, we need to put you in touch, which was so trippy. So she walks us over there. We kind of enter like the door that's right at stage right. We're right by where Fabrizio Moretti's drawing is. And how did we find out that was a drawing that he did, Ashley?
She did some sort of cool feature on the design of the set and mentioned that. They didn't show that was it, but I think we both were like, oh, that's definitely got to be the one. It's like something he did in college, which is so cool.
She instructed basically the social media coordinator to exchange numbers with me.
God, amazing.
So we did it right there. We did that. And I started to explain to her just so like she knew, like, I didn't know if they'd already talked about it before. Like I have no idea, but I started explaining to this social media gal. I said like, okay, we have a massive archive. I have no doubt that we would have useful material to you to use. Drew said something about like, she really wants to do flashbacks. She was talking about flashbacks, and she mentioned something about like the strike, that there's like certain stuff they know they can't use or something. So they're trying to like figure out what content they can use. And I was like, we've got, I think I said something like, we've got content at the wazoo.
I mean, true. That is another one of our slogans, content up the wazoo.
Yes. And then I don't know how this came up necessarily, but she said like, they have so much. And then she said something like, kind of to me, but it seemed like an example to her social media gal. Drew said, they gave me one of the only pictures I have of my parents that's hanging in my house.
Oh my God.
And then I was like, yeah, and that picture might be from when your mother was pregnant with you. And she made this like face, like she kind of didn't remember that fact maybe, or I don't know. It was just like,
It looked like she was about to tear up.
Yeah.
Well, just like when we gave it to her. We love making her cry.
And I think she was pregnant when we gave it to her, wasn't she?
Yes, that was the whole idea. So that's crazy because that was like 9 years ago or something.
I know.
How touching that she remembered that's from us.
I know. And there's always a part of me that's like, and this is just me, whatever, questioning my own self-worth or whatever, but just being like, she doesn't really remember who I am, you know, like,
yeah, sure.
That they've just, her people have prepped her. But that moment I was like, oh, she connects this moment with like the Drewseum, you know, which I was like, yes, like this is exactly what we want. We want to be like a source for her.
I also just want to point out like how many times we have like looked in the background of her pictures or videos, like are any of the photos we gave her back there? So to hear that she definitely still has one of them up in her house, feels so good.
That's definitely the most special one too.
Yeah. Love that moment. That one like really got me teary when you told me that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And maybe you remember a little bit more than I do, Anita, about how the podcast came up. I think I said it out loud.
I think you were the first to actually, yes, you did. Yeah.
Okay. So I said something like, oh, and we have a podcast now. And Drew said, I just learned about it.
Holy shit.
Yes.
And I think she means from the card because I mentioned it in the card.
Like, can we just take a moment? Like, she knows about the pod now. That's the thing. That's a real thing.
I know.
Can I also mention that I said, I'm not Ashley? Because
every time I said Ashley, they were looking at you. Yeah.
Yes, they kept looking over at me and I didn't really know what to say. So eventually I was just like, I'm not Ashley.
That's okay. That happened when Jolena and I went, and Jolena had to be like, I'm not Anne. She couldn't come.
It's unfortunate that we haven't done it together.
I know. We will.
In that moment, I was like, Anita is an old fan and she's been a fan even longer than I have. Like she's here with me. And I was like, we met because of you. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys. That's so cool.
But anyway, Drew said something to the effect of like, yeah, I know about it now and we want to promote it. And I was like,
oh my God.
I just kind of like for a second was like, no. Because I was like, that means too many listeners and I have to do a really good job editing now.
Dude, bring it on. I'm ready. I'm ready. I mean, we'll see. Like I think we both have this in common, and we're always like, okay, like we'll see. We'll just keep doing what we're doing. We're not sitting here like, well, this is definitely going to happen. But if it does, yay.
Yes. Okay. So just a couple more little tidbits. I was wearing a bracelet that was part of the Dear Drew line that she did with Amazon years ago. And Drew noticed it.
Yes. I was wondering about that.
I mean, we know that she's involved in the things that she puts her name on, but I still have a thought that maybe they're like, okay, stuff like this, you know, like that there might be something where it's like, okay, we know your aesthetic now. We'll just put your name on it. But I just felt like that gave it this like, oh, she really did. Like she knows her lines, even though it's years defunct.
Yeah. I feel like she's like sort of a control freak with her lines. So that makes sense. Not in a good way, good way.
But I was like, yes, it is. And she's like, oh, that's so cool.
Well, she remember when I went, she noticed I had a Dear Drew necklace on. Yeah.
I know. So cool. And then the last thing I was going to say is that she mentioned that she wants to frame the tea towel we gave her.
Oh,
and I think she said like she wants to like hang it in her kitchen, or she said something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I was envisioning. Like, imagine we're going to see it in the background. I would die.
Oh my gosh.
And I'd be so happy for the maker because it was really cool that she worked with us to get it there in time.
Yes. The ending of it was sort of like a blur.
I'm sure there were people trying to like usher her away. Like, let's go. Yeah. We got stuff to do. A whole nother show to tape.
And then we made our way out and we're just buzzing and we called you right after. So you got our like pretty fresh.
I was like screaming and crying in my office afterward. My coworker's like, are you okay? I was like, oh my God, I'll try to explain what happened. You're not really going to get it, but
they're like, what? Wait, why?
Okay. Can I mention like a few details that I just remember from the experience?
Yes, please do. Anything I left out and anything that specifically impacted you. I want to hear all of it.
Okay. So these are just little things that I think I noticed about her, or things that happened. So one was like when she crossed her eyes.
Yeah.
Like I think it was during Drew's news in that like very typical Drew way. And I was just like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There was another moment where she was talking about friendship or something, and you and we clutched hands.
Yeah.
And she did look at us in that moment.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I remember she kind of like looked over while we were doing that. And that was a sweet moment.
Yeah.
When we went kind of like backstage, she was drinking her iced tea with
Oh.
like a silicone straw, and she kept biting on the straw.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought it was really cute. I just kept noticing because I wasn't talking.
Yes.
Like for the most part, you and she were talking and like kind of talking about the museum and the podcast. And so I felt like an observer, and I was taking in a lot of these little like moments and things that were happening.
Oh
and I just remember her chewing on the straw.
Dude, Anita, you know we love these tidbits of these.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Her shoes were really cool.
Yeah, they were.
They were like platform heels kind of, and they were like a navy blue or black, like red polka dots. At first I thought they were hearts.
You know what's so funny is that I've noticed them on the floor of the wardrobe room a lot. Her stylist, Lee, will like post a picture in the mirror every day. And one time I was like, I love those shoes on the ground. So I already had my eyes on them.
Yeah, they were really beautiful. And I also noticed that a lot of the times when she would approach us or talk to us or like make eye contact, I would kind of like briefly look around after. And I could definitely see that a lot of people in the audience were like, why them?
Yeah.
Dude, we have felt that vibe many a time where we're like,
Yes.
sorry, not sorry, I guess.
I'm also thinking a little bit like, why me? How did I get this experience? But in a good way.
Exactly.
Well, we've worked really hard for these moments. I'll just say that.
Yes. Yeah, for
Not just
sure.
luck.
And I also I have to express, like, I still feel very lucky, even though there has been this like path sort of laid in advance. Like, I think something I wrote in my journal when I was writing about it is like, I feel so grateful to have like built these connections over the years. It's not
Totally.
just like I just came in there, had the right vibe, and she walked up to us. It's like, it's not about like the length of the fandom, because it's like, you know, somebody in that audience could have been, again, like a fan from ET era, and we're just like
Absolutely
lucky as hell to have like built this. And you know, like and I think the other thing that I love that you said, Anita, when you kind of came out of the experience, you're like, Drew's just human.
Exactly. I feel like obviously it was an amazing experience. I'm so grateful to have had it. But I think sometimes when we meet our idols, a really amazing thing is to realize like they're just a person.
Totally.
And for some people, I think that that's a letdown. But for me, it made it even more special.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we're drawn to about her is that she
Yeah.
has flaws.
Exactly.
And she's very vulnerable and open about those things. So she's more relatable that way.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, and another cool moment that we didn't mention
Yes.
is the first time that she came over to hug us. She had the like sparkle or whatever on her nose.
Oh,
And we were both like, oh, you actually first said you've got something on your nose. And she was like, where? And kind of did that look where you're like kind of trying to look down at your nose to like see what's on it.
Oh my God.
We both like pointed to where it was. Yeah. And then she like brushed it off and she was like, thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Oh my
that
gosh.
was a great moment.
it probably came off of like one of our clothes or something.
I
It was
think
like
so.
right on the tip of her cute little nose.
How sweet. Did you get to sort of see her in producer mode? Because that was one of the things I thought was so cool when I went to a taping was like, I'd never really seen her on a set and how she like works. And it was really cool to see her like sort of be like down to business and being the boss and stuff. Did you get to see that at all?
I feel like it's a very well-oiled machine.
Yes.
And she's got like a lot of staff doing like very specific jobs. Like, I feel like it was a very professional set while also feeling very warm. Like, there was a lot of lovely camaraderie amongst the like crew. Didn't you kind of feel that, Anita? Like,
absolutely. I feel like probably at the beginning when the show first started, I think that producer hat was probably on more until they kind of like, you know what I mean? They kind of worked out the kinks.
yeah.
And now they know how things flow and how Drew wants things.
Cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, sort of the control freak thing around her brands. Like, it might be like she found the people she trusts to get the job done.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, I didn't really see that. But there is that thing of like, okay, just tell me where I need to be and I'm going to be there. Like, she's there with bells on. We saw that like excitement.
Yes. So, and like a couple other things that I'm just remembering right now is that her photographer who was on set was taking photos while Anne and I were talking with her backstage.
That's right. We're hoping to get some copies of those, but hopefully by the time this airs.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And then she also, during the Lisa Ling segment was, I mean, you'll hear this obviously and see this when you watch the show, the episode, but she was talking about how she went on a date with like a veteran. And he was talking about his experience with shrooms and how great they were for his like post-traumatic stress disorder.
That's
interesting.
And how they stay in touch and they do speak and like text back and forth from time to time, but they like obviously it didn't turn into a relationship.
Wow.
Yeah, that was interesting. I forgot about that. But yeah, she did say she's very interested in his experience. So that was really cool.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sure that there's going to be like little memories that'll pop up, but that was our experience at the Drew Barrymore Show.
Incredible. I can't even really be jealous because I was just so excited and happy for you guys. And as it was happening, I guess I should mention this. Like I knew you met the dogs and all that, but then once you guys went in, you know, you can't use your phones at all, obviously. I'm just for the listeners.
Yeah, we had to turn them off.
So I was just like radio silence, like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? And then I get a message from Tony Crago, a photo of you guys talking to Drew.
That was so cool.
Yeah, I wish I looked less like
weird. You were excited that it comes through, but I like as soon as I saw it, I was just like, oh my God, and just so happy for you guys. Like it's happening.
Yeah, I just love that there's photographic evidence that I met her.
I know. Like if we get nothing else, how cool that we got that.
Exactly.
You know,
absolutely.
The one thing I'll say about the photo, and we can probably share it on the episode page because why not?
Sure.
There's something crazy happening with my hand and Drew's hand. You just gotta see it.
They're intermeshing.
Yeah, we're like about to hold hands, but I like have my hand open and hers is like trying to grab my palm. It's very funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was our magic most recent for me encounter with Miss Drew.
And my first.
Congratulations, you guys.
My first and most likely only encounter. But
well, it was a pretty good one.
I'd say so.
It was amazing.
If you're only gonna do one, that was the right way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so anything else for the end of the show, Ash?
I think someone's ready for me to be done.
Okay, I want to make sure we have a big thank you to Anita for joining us. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Anita.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and thank you for coming to New York with me. Yeah, and then agreeing to spend another hour of your time while Elle is fussing. No, I so appreciate it. And yeah, this is really exciting. I feel like it's a nice, like, potential step forward for the pod for this relationship to continue.
Stay tuned on that one. We will be.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys. If you do want to do your own part to help grow the pod, you can subscribe. You can review us on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the air. You can leave ratings on Apple and Spotify. And you can follow us on Instagram at How Do You Drew Pod and at Drewseum. And we'll share some stuff for this episode. So you're going to want to be looking.
Yes. And also don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon. Find us there at How Do You Drew. Visit our website at howdoyoudrew.com. Check out the episode page for this week for a couple tidbits and little insights into our experience at the Drew Barrymore Show. And send listener mail to howdoyoudrewpod@gmail.com. Tell us, what you love about the show. Send us an email after you watch and let us know if you spot us.
Yeah, I love that it's going to air so soon. That's so exciting.
Once again, the episode will air on the 22nd of November, and I'm guessing it's up on YouTube like the next day.
Sometimes same day.
Oh, cool. And then I'm going to do a little question to take us out. Oh, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
It's got to be food. I'm a stuffing girl.
Oh, okay. What about you, Anita?
It's most likely, I would have to say stuffing's a close second, but mashed potatoes.
Oh yeah, that would be my number 2.
Yeah. I love the carbs.
Yeah.
I mean carbs and starch.
Yeah. And I would like mash all those things together, but I'm just going to say my favorite is canned cranberry sauce.
No, not the can.
But part of the reason why is because I feel like it cracks me up so much to pull it out of the can and slice it and then smash it with all the rest of my food.
Yes.
I made fresh cranberry sauce yesterday. And I promise if you had that, you would have been like, no more can.
No, I've had lots of different stuff.
I'm with you, Anne. I like the cans.
But it's just one of those, it's so nostalgic. And when I have cranberry sauce that is like textured, I'm like, this tastes good, but I almost want the weird canned stuff back. All right. Thank you again. Thank you everybody for tuning in and hearing all our excitement about this past week's fun stuff. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This episode of the How Do You Drew podcast was researched and produced by Ashley and Ann from thedrewseum.com with help from our sponsor, Positive Medium.
Special thanks to Matt Costa for our lovely theme song, Roxy Prima for our adorable logo, and last but not least, Drew Barrymore and all the Drewbies who love her. We do this for you. Thank you.